my office one final time, surrounded by everything we've uncovered. Dad's 1939 diary opened to Grace Marie's Higher the Mountain verse. His million-mile certificate propped up on the desk that he made. The 2019 recording queued up. 7 episodes of digging have brought me to this moment, finally understanding who Roy Ernest Skoog really was. And here's what I've discovered. It's not the simple story of the gentle man who never complained. It's something far more complex and ultimately more inspiring. The story of a human being who learned to thrive despite repeated attempts to make him disappear. Let me tell you what this excavation revealed. That 1939 diary proves that Dad was naturally confident, naturally social. This wasn't a withdrawn child, but one loved unconditionally by his community. But also formative trauma. Aunt Lydia's death by fire when Dad was 7 taught him that good people suffer terribly through no fault of their own, and that the proper response to witnessing pain is increased tenderness, not hardness. The rejection layer showed how the world taught this beloved boy to step back. The 4F military classification, church exclusion from leadership, each no teaching Dad that survival meant making himself smaller. But here's what's remarkable. Instead of becoming bitter, Dad channeled each rejection into increased competence. When the military said his body was unfit, he became the safest driver on the road. When the church said his voice was unwelcome, he found other ways to serve. When society said his difference was embarrassing, he created beauty with his hands.
Do you love me less?
No matter what I tell me when you want me, me.
The marriage layer revealed a partnership that both sustained and concealed Dad. Mom became his voice to the world, both gift and limitation. What I discovered. Dad wasn't naturally quiet. He had learned to let others speak for him. The confident boy from the diary had been trained into silence, not born into it. The work layer showed where Dad found his truest voice. That million-mile certificate wasn't just professional achievement. It was proof of worth in a world that questioned his value. His woodworking shop wasn't hobby. It was where he expressed love through lasting creation. The surface memories revealed the Dad that I knew, the gentle antagonist with the ornery smile, the patient bedtime story reader, the road trip navigator who taught me geography through adventure. A man who had learned to love sideways, expressing affection through action when words felt insufficient. So, who was Roy Ernest Skoog when you put all the pieces together? He was a man born with natural confidence, who learned strategic stepping back. A person capable of deep love, who expressed it through practical service because emotional vocabulary felt too risky. A human being who chose gentleness, not because he was weak, but because he understood the cost of cruelty. Dad wasn't the silent figure I thought he was. He was a man operating on a frequency that most people couldn't tune into. His love was constant, but quiet. His intelligence was practical rather than academic. His strength was endurance rather than dominance. One of my favorite discoveries was Dad's small rebellions. Hank Williams songs hummed in his woodworking shop despite prohibition on worldly music. Muttered curse words when he hit his thumb despite the ban on swearing. Hard candies scattered in his car console, evidence of small daily pleasures. These weren't signs of hypocrisy. They were evidence of humanity. Dad hadn't disappeared completely under others' expectations. He had found small spaces where he could still be himself. The man whose voice was mocked at church found comfort in country singers who sang about loneliness and being misunderstood. There's poetry in that quiet resistance. Here's what I finally understand. Dad's practical approach to love wasn't limitation. It was innovation. When verbal expression was difficult, when emotional conversations felt risky, when his voice was deemed unreliable, Dad created his own language of care. Every oil change was, I want you to be safe. Every $20 bill was, I want you to have what you need. Every piece of handcrafted furniture was, I want to create something lasting for you. Every patient bedtime story was, your dreams matter to me. Dad spoke fluent love, just not in the vocabulary most people expected. As we conclude this archaeological dig, if you've found meaning in this process of excavating who our parents really were, I invite you to continue this exploration at Things I Meant to Tell You on Substack. It's where I share ongoing reflections about family complexity, faith deconstruction, and the artifacts that help us understand the people who shaped us. Join me for stories that land in your inbox when inspiration strikes. I sometimes wonder if you love me, but it worries me, Dad admits to Mom, with that vulnerability that just breaks my heart. Even after 60 years of marriage, he's still worried about being loved, still felt uncertain about his worth. The accumulated rejections had left lasting scars. But it also shows his capacity for emotional honesty when he felt safe enough. What did it cost Dad to be so consistently accommodating, so reliably stepping back, so practiced at self-concealment? It cost him the chance to be fully known. It cost him opportunities to use his voice beyond practical contexts. It cost him being celebrated for who he was, rather than valued for what he did. But what did he gain? The ability to love without conditions, to serve without recognition, to maintain dignity under relentless assault. The wisdom that comes from understanding suffering, the strength that comes from choosing gentleness despite experiencing cruelty. Most importantly, he gained knowledge that his worth wasn't dependent on others' approval. When the world repeatedly told him he wasn't enough, Dad quietly proved them wrong through his actions, his character, and his lasting contributions. I'm recording this on a desk that Dad made, surrounded by the mirror he crafted, looking at toddler chairs he built for children who will never exist. His love continues shaping my life through these tangible expressions of care. But his influence goes deeper than furniture. Dad taught me that true strength doesn't require dominance, that dignity doesn't depend on others' approval, that love can be expressed in countless ways beyond words. He showed me that when the world tries to erase you, you can choose to become quietly indispensable instead. When systems exclude you, you can create your own measures of worth. When people mock your differences, you can respond with increased tenderness rather than matching cruelty. What this dig revealed was that Dad was never the mystery I thought he was. I was just looking for him in all the wrong places. I was searching for Dad in words when he spoke through actions. I was looking for emotional expression when he showed love through practical service. I was expecting social prominence when he had learned that true influence happens quietly, through daily reliability and consistent character. Dad wasn't hiding from the world. He was loving in his own particular way. He wasn't absent from his own life. He was fully present, just on a frequency that required careful attention to detect. Every road trip navigation lesson was Dad sharing expertise. Every gentle toe pinch was Dad saying, I see you. Every piece of handcrafted furniture was Dad saying, I want to create lasting value in your life. Every quiet presence during family conflicts was Dad choosing peace over drama. Dad's love was never absent. It was just expressed in a vocabulary I had to learn to read. So, who was Roy Ernest Skoog? He was a man who learned to thrive despite repeated attempts to make him disappear, who chose tenderness despite experiencing cruelty, who experienced love through lasting creation when temporary words felt insufficient. He was my father, but also his own complete person. a beloved boy, a rejected teenager, competent worker, a gentle husband, a patient father, and quietly rebellious individual who hummed Hank Williams and saved hard candies for small daily comfort. He was never absent. He was just speaking a language of love that required attention to understand. This concludes our archaeological dig. Dad's artifacts return to their places, but what we've uncovered remains. The understanding that love takes countless forms, that strength can be quiet, that dignity doesn't require recognition, and that a life well lived isn't measured by volume, but by consistency. Thank you for joining me in uncovering Dad. Thank you for helping me learn to read the language he was speaking all along. And thank you, Dad, for showing me that the most profound love often whispers rather than shouts, creates rather than declares, and endures long after the person who gave it has gone home. This has been Uncovering Dad, an excavation. I'm Jenny Skoog, and I finally know who my father really was. Thank you to James, whose infinite patience mirrors Dad's own. To Frankie, who would have been completely spoiled by Dad's love. To Angie, whose feedback was essential in bringing this story to life. And to Yagul for creating the theme music that guided us through this journey.